Alright guys, so quick little video. I want to talk about cache guns or cash guns, however you want to pronounce it. Now this is kind of a spin-off of a conversation we had a few weeks ago on the podcast where we were talking about some of our top choices for cache guns. Basically just guns you're going to stow away for a rainy day, alright? Figuratively or literally, right? Like, so whether you're worried about a totalitarian regime taking over the government and confiscating all the guns and you need a backup to the guns that the government came and took, or you're talking about something like what we saw in Houston with a natural disaster. I mean, just recently with the hurricanes, there were people that literally went to work one day and before they could get home, their house was underwater and potentially every firearm they own, and they found themselves in an extreme situation. Okay, situations like that where people are displaced, you have a higher likelihood of needing a firearm to protect you, your family, and your belongings. And yet, some people were not able to get to those firearms they needed to defend themselves. So the idea of stowing away firearms at different locations allows you to be able to continue to protect yourself even in extreme situations. Now, first and foremost, I'll just say when it comes to how much money you should spend, I'm very, very budget-minded, as you guys know already, and especially when you're talking about a firearm that chances are you're never going to need to use, hopefully if all goes well, and a lot of times, I know for most people, we're not going to find ourselves in that extreme of a situation. You just don't want to spend a lot of money. You don't want to spend more money than you can be willing to just lose, because that's how you have to look at this. You have to put a gun away and hope that you never ever see that gun again. So buy a gun that you can afford to basically forget about. All right, now that doesn't mean you have to buy a Jimenez or a Sky or a High Point, okay? But it also doesn't mean you have to buy a $1,500 or $1,000, AR-15 or AK-47 or a $1,000 SIG or a 1911. You need to buy something appropriate for what you're doing with this firearm. So what I want to do in this video is just show you guys some of the examples I have. And this is by no means an end-all be-all list, okay? I do actually have guns that are stowed away. Not going to go into what those guns are or obviously where those guns are, but I want to show you some of the guns I have in my personal collection that I would certainly think about stowing away and caching, okay? And that's something that I would recommend some of you guys take a look at if you're in the market for a gun to kind of just put away and forget about it and save it for a rainy day. Now, one thing I will say is I'm going to lean towards handguns for very, very simple reasons, okay? In bad situations like that, the main thing you're going to be worried about is going to be defense, and handguns are great at defense, okay? The other thing is the ability to stow something away. When you're talking about a handgun, obviously it's much easier to stow away somewhere, to bury or put in a garage or a barn or whatever it is you're going to do with your cache gun. It's much easier to do it with a handgun than it's going to be with a long gun. So this is going to be a handgun heavy list of guns that I own, okay? So let's just start off right here with Taurus PT809. Now it doesn't have to be the Taurus PT809, it can be just about any Taurus handgun that's out there on the market today, because right now Taurus is actually going through a shift in their line. They're moving from all the different series of pistols they've had for years and years and years, the 800 series, the Millennium series, the 24-7s, and many others, and they're moving to the T series of pistols. They're consolidating, much like Glock did. They're going to have the TS series of pistols, which is all striker fired guns, and the TH series of pistols, which is all hammer fired guns. You're going to start to see that line being rolled out next year. As that happens, these guns are really, really cheap. I picked this one up for I think 230 bucks, give or take, something like that. This one I actually use as my designated vehicle gun. It stays in my vehicle, stowed away. And I got it specifically because I like Taurus. I've had really good luck with Taurus handguns. I've owned many of them. I think I've owned 13 or 14 Taurus handguns over the years. Every single one of them been fantastic, and I didn't have to pay a lot for this money. So I got a good, solid firearm for a really, really good price, and to me that equates to a really good gun that you can kind of just stow away. Another couple examples that I got here recently, some of you guys who watch the channel know exactly what I'm going to show you here, and that's these two guns right here. We have a Spanish Star Model BM, which is a Spanish police trade-in. The Spanish police use these guns for about 30 years, give or take, 20 or 30 years I believe, from the early 70s to the late 90s, and up actually into the 2000s. Even after they had stopped manufacturing them, there were a lot of police in Spain that were still using these guns. It's a single stack, solid steel, 9mm, 1911-ish design gun. It works, it's tried and true design, and I picked this one up for 199 bucks on special Black Friday. The gun usually sells for 230. Go to Classic Firearms right now, you pick one up for 230 bucks. That's really, really cheap for a good, solid, tried and true design on a firearm like that. The other one that we have here, this is the Systolic M7 Ta. Again, I picked it up for 199 bucks. Going price on this when it's not on sale is only 20 bucks more at $220. Single stack 9mm. This Tokarev design that's been around for a very long time, since the 1930s, is a tried and true design. Does it have a lot of capacity? Is it a particularly good looking gun? No, but it works, and that's what we're talking about here. Plus, it's very inexpensive and very effective. What more could you really ask for? You're talking about a gun you need to put away for an emergency situation. Doesn't need to be the biggest and baddest and the fanciest. It just needs to work when you need it to work. There you go. Another option would be things like this. You get into the old Makarov round. Pick these one up. This is a Bulgarian Makarov. Pick it up, 9x18. Depending on where you live, it's still pretty common. I know I can still pick up plenty of that ammo to stow away with a handgun if I wanted to. I picked up this one for 300 bucks. A little pricey compared to the other stuff we're talking about here, but 300 bucks is still 300 bucks. It's not a lot of money for a good design. This gun's been around since the 1950s. It works, trust me. Same thing here. We have a P83 Polish gun. You can pick these up in the 220 to 250-ish range online. It's basically just kind of a take on the Makarov, slightly different design. I'm not going to go too much into it. I've got videos on that. But 9x18, tried and true design, been used by military and police for years and years, and it works. Again, very, very cheap and effective. Other guns that you might want to take into consideration are things like the SD series Smith & Wesson. You can usually pick those up brand new for around $300. Also, police trade-ins. There's tons of police trade-ins, Smith & Wesson M&Ps and Glocks out there on the market. If you're looking for something expensive, or inexpensive I should say, those are great options. 300 to 350 bucks give or take, usually for a good 40 caliber Smith & Wesson M&P or a good Glock 22 or a Glock 23. Great prices for great guns. So those are the options that I would look at when it comes to handguns. As far as long guns go, I'm just going to throw one recommendation out there, and that's just a good 12 gauge pump action shotgun. I don't really care what it is. Most pump action shotguns out there on the market are pretty good. Get yourself some of the, like the Stevens 320, get yourself a Maverick 88, this is a Mossberg 500, Remington 870, the Winchester SXP, whatever it is, you can spend between $200 and $300 on a good pump action shotgun that's going to last a lifetime. You wrap it up, you bury it somewhere, put it in a PVC pipe, whatever you want to do, and it's pretty much going to be good to go when you need it, and you're not going to have spent a lot of money to do what you need to do, and you're still going to be able to do it if you ever do need to pull out that gun. That's basically what we're talking about here. So that's pretty much it. Lots of good options out there, and by far is this not an exclusive list, right? Like this is not the end-all be-all, okay? There are plenty of other guns out there. Just do your homework, search around, look for things that are budget-friendly, that are going to be reliable, and that are just going to work well for you personally, what you're trying to do. So that's it. I appreciate you watching. You got any questions, comments, leave that stuff down below, and we will talk to you guys later.